Hey everyone, it's Arminder here. Welcome to the Rum Revival. And what I have here are 3 samples from the 3 newest single cask releases from independent bottler Holmes Cay. They were kind enough to send these samples over, and I'm gonna drink them. That's all this video is. Well, it's more than just that. I am gonna drink them, but then I'm gonna kind of share some tasting notes and some initial first impressions to let you know what I think about them, and maybe that will get you interested, or maybe you'll be like, you know what, that's not for me, but let's find out together. So first I have the Guyana Versailles 2018, then I have the Trinidad 12-year 2012, and then the Fiji 13-year 2009. We'll start with the shortest age, the Guyana, and then eventually work our way up to the longest age, which is the Fiji. All right, so we're gonna start with the Guyana here, the Versailles 2018, and that tells us a lot. It's Guyanese rum, meaning it's made at Diamond Distillery. They're the folks that make El Dorado. The Versailles tells us it's made on the Versailles single wooden pot still, which is a still that makes some pretty great rum. A lot of it is made out of wood, at least the kettle portion I believe is. And it's distilled in 2018, 4 years of aging in an ex-bourbon cask in the UK, and then an additional year in New York, so a total of 5 years of aging, and then it's bottled at 55% ABV. Oh, and it's priced at around, I think, $80 for the bottle. Not this bottle. This is just a sample. I am quite the fan of Versailles in general. It's good rum. We will see how this one is, though. So, the thing that kind of really immediately jumped out was a fruit note. Slightly underripe green fruit. There's maybe an element of banana, not Jamaican banana, not like overripe banana, but like underripe green banana. But it's also evoking pears, like a slightly underripe, kind of hard pear, you know? Yeah, for sure. Now, there is some kind of sweeter element here underneath some of that, like a little bit of butterscotch, which is a note that I'll sometimes get in El Dorado rums. I think that's often in Enmore releases, but you know, I guess this Versailles has some of that as well. And there's a little touch of vanilla here as well. Maybe a little bit of like grapes or raisins or something, like golden raisins. Yeah, quite nice. Lovely, not bold, not intense. Soft enough, but present, you know? Yeah, that's great. Anyways, let's give it a sip. Cheers. Initial reaction, pretty decent mouthfeel actually. Nice kind of overall kind of presence on the palate. Not overwhelming, not intense, definitely not weak, not thin. I'm kind of getting a little bit of the same notes that I got on the aroma. In a way, kind of also getting them here. Some of that banana pear for sure. Maybe some golden raisins here. Imagine like a slightly underripe, boozy pear, savory, spiced, underripe pear. Yeah, back end, a little bit of tea, tobacco, combined with a fruity, slight burnt sugar thing happening. After like a couple of sips, I am starting to now notice that kind of quality that you get in Versailles and the Port Morant, more so in the Port Morant, but definitely in the Versailles as well, that kind of oily plant-like thing, you know, that I think they're kind of known for. Grungy plant-like thing. I am picking that up, which to me, that's kind of what I would hope I would be able to kind of get from a Versailles, and I do. So yay. But it has a little bit of that kind of slight sweetness of like the butterscotchy thing that's happening here. A little unctuous. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, actually, I think I like this a lot, you know. It's quite a treat, especially if you like that profile and you like stuff from Guyana. I think it's very expressive, and I like that. I feel like I'm drinking something that feels distillate and fermentation driven, though I'm sure a decent amount of what I'm tasting, of course, is coming from the aging naturally. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the Guyana Versailles 2018. 2 thumbs up. If that's the thing I'm doing now. I'm not doing that, but I just felt like doing it at the moment. Okay, so it's now another day. I've got a different outfit on. Time has passed. I've gotten a little older. That's how life works. That's how time works. And we've got now the Trinidad 12-year 2012. Now, this was distilled by the now defunct 10 Cane Distillery This was a brand and distillery put together by Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy back in, I don't know, like 2005 or so. I think it lasts for maybe 10 years, but that might be a little generous, but around there. And a lot of casks of when they shut down, some of those casks of their rum were picked up by various different brokers and independent bottlers, and we're seeing some releases, and this is one of them. Now, all their stuff was cane juice out of Trinidad. That's where the rum was distilled, at least. Presumably that's where the cane juice came from as well. It was distilled on pot stills. And then this was aged first 4 years in the tropics, according to Holmes Cay. I don't know if that means specifically Trinidad or a different part of the Caribbean. I don't know, but presumably, obviously, very kind of hot weather is at least what that kind of signifies. So 4 years in ex-cognac casks, and then another 5 years in an ex-rum cask in the UK. And then it made its way to New York, where it was aged another 3 years by the folks at Holmes Cay. And it's bottled at 59% ABV and priced, I'm looking over here, $160. That's it. Let me pour this and let this open up. All right, I've let this sit for a bunch of minutes, and here we go. Get a little caramel, vanilla, actually. Maybe a little orange peel. Nothing like weird or offensive or out there about the aroma. It's this very kind of straightforward, approachable aroma. There is maybe a bit of like wet grain or wet cardboard thing happening here. There's a flowery kind of thing happening on the aroma. Nice enough, you know, not mind-blowing, nothing crazy. All right, let's give it a sip. Cheers. Now, if I'm being honest, my first reaction here is, ouch, because earlier today, I slightly burned the roof of my mouth eating some really hot pizza, and that's the first bit of alcohol of the day. And as you can imagine, yeah, not a fun combination. So let's take a moment here and give this a fair shot. I'm gonna take a bit of a break, let that kind of do its thing. Better. Has less of the flower thing that I got in the aroma, and more amped up oak, vanilla. There is a bit of zippiness though. It's not just like rich kind of one note vanilla or oak. There is a bit of zestiness, a slight faint fennel, some pepper, black pepper. Yeah, it's like a spicy oak, spicy vanilla. It's a fairly well-made middle of the road, or slightly to the left of middle of the road flavor profile. I think that's a little bit of spicy zippiness helps it be more than just oakiness and vanilla-ness, right? If it was just that, I wouldn't be at all interested, I think. But there is a little touch of complexity that runs across, and there's a good body, good mouthfeel, good finish that kind of, I think, elevates it a little bit. That being said, I'm not wild about it. It's not something I'm going to actively crave. So yeah, that's it for this one. Let's move on to the third and final rum, and let's see what I'm wearing next. Okay, so our last sample is the Fiji 13-year 2009. So this was made in Fiji by South Pacific Distilleries there in Fiji, and molasses base, pot distilled, and it was aged all those 13 years in the UK in an ex-rum cask, and it's bottled at 58% ABV and priced at $150. Now, I just had last night a pour of the Flag Series Fiji from last year, just as a bit of a refresher and kind of something to compare this to. So there is this quality that I often will get in Fiji rums from the South Pacific Distillery or whatever they're called. And it's a electrified fruit note, like a banana, maybe in this case, a honeyed banana that is electric. Maybe there's a little bit of pear here as well, actually. It's not a intense aroma. Like, you have to work for it a little bit. But man, lovely pear, hint of banana. There is maybe kind of on the outskirts a little bit of slight industrial thing. on that aroma. I think that's kind of maybe where I was saying the electrified thing. That kind of dovetails into that industrial note. Yeah, maybe it's a faint hint of glue. Yeah, that's great. All right, let's give it a sip. Cheers. Well, I'll say it's different than the Flag Series Fiji that I had last night. This has a little bit more flavor kind of across your palate. That one had a little more of like a jab. This is a little more spread out. I get honey, a honeyed fruit note, honeyed pear, honeyed banana, honeyed generic jam kind of thing. There's a bit of a sweetness here. Acidity, a little vinegar going on here. I get a little graphite, a little greasy, or rather grimy. I quite like that. That's, I think, a fun example of it without being overly intense and in your face. So I think if you're looking to try, maybe you're going from the Holmes Cay Fiji blend that they have, and you're looking to jump into a single cask Fiji, but you want to not just to do a huge leap, but like a middle step. I feel like this is a really good, approachable, high strength cask, single cask example of that, right? Because there's others that, while maybe might wow you a little bit more because they have a little more kick and punch and intensity. This has some of that for sure. It just feels a little bit more, slightly more mellowed. For many people, I think in the right direction actually. But it's unmistakably Fiji in all the best ways. Really cool. Really enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that my least favorite was the Trinidad. Wasn't blown away by it. Wasn't bad. Like, none of these were bad. The Trinidad wasn't bad rum. It just didn't really get me excited. It's definitely probably a skip for me. And then I think the real question is between the Fiji and the Guyana, the Versailles. Which one would I grab if I could? I mean, they're kind of different price-wise. I think the Versailles is, what I'd say, $80, and the other one's $150, the Fiji, so pretty big price difference. All those things being equal, I think personally maybe just my palate kind of just gravitates more towards the Guyana of it all and the Versailles of it all. Love that kind of rum, love that distillate, love that still. So me personally, I think I enjoyed that one a couple points more than the Fiji. So of the three, I'd probably reach and buy a bottle of the Versailles, but really did like the Fiji. You know, I think it's a really good example of that. So there you go, another really cool lineup of rums from Holmes Cay. Again, thanks to them for sending the samples. And yes, if you're curious about their newest releases, that's what's going on. Thanks so much for watching. And actually, if you want to support the channel, of course, we've got the Patreon page there. You can go there and sign up for any one of the tiers. And if you sign up for one of the tiers, you get access to the Discord channel, the Discord server is what we call it, I think, for the rum. I forgot I was going to rum. What's the name of the channel? Rum Revival. Yeah, we've got a cool community out there. Come and join us and hang out with us. And thank you so much for watching. Catch you all next time. Cheers.